Guys, this is What If Deku was Spider-Man 2099 Part 5. And honestly, it's been like a solid, I think a year since I posted the last one. So, or like a couple months. So, I really don't know. But we're going to be jumping right into it. So, I last left off around, I can't remember too vividly, but I last left off around after the sports festival, and Izuku basically, going up against other heroes, going up against other people in his class, especially Todoroki, as he would also basically, I think, lose against Todoroki, or he would win. I forgot which one. But main thing we learned from Izuku is Izuku got more gadgets, his suit got tweaked up and also upgraded, and he also figured out that his hands and his strength was basically increasing and he was becoming stronger, but his durability was still at its same peak, because his hands were like pretty much mangled with the amount of strength he was throwing off on ice pillars he was fighting Todoroki with, or ice pillars Todoroki was fighting Izuku with. But let's dive right into it. So this is going to be a pretty long video because I'm going to be covering the internships, and also I'm going to be covering staying in the internships, and also the, I think, episode 34 of season 2. So yeah, let's dive right into this fan fiction. So we really jump into our story after the whole event, and everybody is in class as they all are talking about how they might get some offers from internships and hero organizations and hero internships and other things like that. Izuku would have opened some notes he got from multiple different hero organizations, him getting one from, well, Alchemax. Alchemax would have had a hero organization, like I talked about this in part 4, and they would be doing internships, and they would see Izuku's potential and also the amount of gadgets and smarts he had throughout the fight, but also him kind of losing his temper had them a little bit hesitant on making him join the, internship. But they, in the end, said that he might be a good fit for this. So Izuku had Alchemax as one, but he also had Charles Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, basically the original X-Men team, because the Golden Age of Heroes, like the Avengers, the X-Men, Fantastic Four, would have all been the first couple of hero teams doing the beginning and opening of Quarks. And Quarks should have been around a lot longer in his continuity, around the time of, I think, the big thing that the guy with the mustache did with the people that believe in something else, and they were genocide. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know if I can say the word, but I don't know. But yeah, that the time Magneto was born, that's where Quarks would have started to manifest. Magneto being the first kind of layer of users of Quarks. Quarks being basically mutations in this world. So the X-Men would have been made, and the hero teams and the Golden Age of Heroes and the Golden Heroes, like Spider-Man being one of the most popular, most Golden Age heroes of the time. Spider-Man and his whole legacy and his whole adventures inspiring Izuku. Izuku would have started to look. So basically what happened was Izuku would start to look between both of them, thinking maybe Alchemax could give him a deeper look into his father's work and other things such as that. But he still also at the same time realizes that the X-Men exam, the X-Men Charles Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, the Japan's destination of this place, could give him a good opening to new, I guess, things. But him mainly at the end choosing, Alchemax. He would have gone to Alchemax, as Alchemax's internships would have been unique, to say the least. Us meeting new heroes and new pro heroes, mainly tech-based, and even some technopaths as well. Basically more heroes that are based around tech and smarts as mainly their quirk. As Izuku eventually meets up with one hero that's kind of a known favorite. Actually an old-time Spider-Man villain, or an ancestor of one of the old-time Spider-Man villains, being this universe's version of Morbius. Now, that's simple. I was going to say ancestor, because, between this jump in the last like seconds you just heard, it's been like a 5-day gap. So Izuku Midoriya would have met Morbius. And since Morbius is like a living vampire, he basically would have never really aged through the decades. So he basically now works for Alchemex and also is a hero under the, well, advice and also the organization of Alchemex. Now this version of Morbius would have had the same abilities, power sets of Morbius in the comic books, and basically all his type of powers, maybe the same origin story too. A majority of his origin story would have been filled and actually helped by the, well, influence and also the funds of Alchemex. But what happened is this version of Morbius would have started to talk to Izuku and would have said that it's nice to meet you, Izuku Midoriya, as he was one of the, well, head executives that were there when they were looking over, well, the sports festival and seeing your skill and your talent. As he basically goes on about how the top head of Alchemex did see your, I guess you could say, potential, and also he knew your background and your family. I'm sorry. As Izuku goes on and says, nah, it's okay, but just never say sorry, okay? I don't like when people say sorry about something they don't even know about. It's something that just pisses me off. I don't know. As he nods and says, okay, I'll keep that in mind. As he goes on and tells him about how he's going to be training him to try to better his powers and teach him the ropes of being a hero and a pro hero, and how saving lives is important, but also keeping minimum to no property damage is important as well. There's a lot of heroes that just do whatever they want, causing more property damage and things and people getting hurt in the process. So they start off with physical training Izuku's speed, endurance, and strength to see his peaks and his peak physical form and shape and, well, performance. Now, Morbius' abilities are similar and near the same strength as Spider-Man, so they start to fight and duke it out, doing sparring lessons, doing sprints, obstacle courses, and also doing a couple of drills in basically Alchemex's version of the Danger Room. So they start to train, basically kind of the Danger Room being kind of a simulation or very similar to the original X-Men Danger Room, but also being merged with the training room in Spider-Verse at Miguel O'Hara's universe. So they start to train as Izuku's using his abilities and basically also training and tweaking out with his webbing and his swinging, and also basically getting faster and stronger with those type of techniques, using them in smarter ways like the blind his opponents, in more sneakier, cheekier ways, making also web bombs and other things like that. Him working on more gadgets and other doohickeys alongside this new Morbius, as Morbius is still, very smart character, as they start to talk, and basically them starting to become friends of some sorts. As they start to train more and more on speed, more or less, as Izuku, over the course of the the internship gets a little bit faster. But they eventually go out on a, well, I guess you could say, route to see Japan and also do a little bit of a patrol. They go out the same night where everything's going wrong. They're going out and they hear commotion as Nomu starts to pop out of nowhere. Havoc is going everywhere and Havoc is going hard. Pause. So they start to go crazy. Izuku is eventually told to spread out and get away, as Morbius is basically overwhelmed by two Nomus at the same time. Pause. So they start to try to double tag him and basically gangbang him. Pause. But they start to try to jump Morbius. Morbius tells Izuku to get out of here. Izuku says he can help him, but he tells him that he doesn't want him to get hurt or killed, as they don't even know the strength of these creatures yet, as the one that went up against All Might was incredibly strong. Now, Izuku starts to go a run for it, as one of the Nomus try to follow him. Not anymore. Morbius tries to fight him and stop him from going after Izuku, as he starts to fight against Morbius. Morbius starts to use his super speed and his vampire abilities to his advantage, and starts to hold them back for long enough for Izuku to start his run. Izuku's running from building to building and swinging to building top to building top, as eventually he hears a scream in the background of the distance. He swings back through the city and through the alleyways, eventually seeing Stain. And he looks closely and he sees Ida. As his heart races, and he rushes right down there as he grabs Stain's blade and rushes out of his hand and kicks, and I mean sidesteps the shit out of Stain kicking him straight into a concrete wall or on the side of the alleyway. And he sees, well, Ida on the ground, basically paralyzed or something, as he grabs Ida and tells him to get up, as Ida says he can't, as this is a quirk. As basically he looks around and he basically sees Stain look at the blade Izuku grabbed, as he grabs the blade and says, ooh, no blood. You got a very thick shell, don't you, kid? As he starts to stare down at Izuku, as Izuku gets into a fighting stance saying, give me your best shot, you creep. As they start to run at each other, Izuku tries to dodge out the way, knowing that this guy's pretty dangerous. He did hear the rumors about the hero killer Stain from Morbius, a lot more in detail though. So they start to run around and basically sprint, going like an anime Naruto type fight, going back to back to back. And they eventually get close enough and they start to go into a deep fight against each other. Eventually, Stain gained a clearing shot on Izuku's weak spot, as it's some sort of soft fabric on the joints of the back of his elbow, as Izuku gets cut and Stain licks the blood. Izuku is instantly paralyzed and falls onto the ground, as Izuku is honestly in pure and utter disarray. He can't move and Izuku feels powerless, as it's the last time he ever wanted to feel powerless, since his parents dying. Now his friend's about to get killed, and so is he. Izuku starts to freak out and pretty much have a mini panic attack, as he's trying his hardest to move, but he can't budge. Now, Stain starts to taunt Izuku as he's about to finish off Ida, as Izuku breaks out of the pretty much transparent like thing as he rushes towards Stain, but Stain gets the best upper hand on Izuku, since Izuku doesn't have a Spider Sense since he's Spider-Man 2099 power set, and he gets stabbed in the jugular because his armor has a weak spot as well. His armor is very padded, and basically he's really durable, but it still are soft spots within it. Basically, nooks and crannies that a well-seasoned swordsman or somebody that can really accurately just analyze a person in a matter of seconds could ever pick up on. Someone that is literally a seasoned, well-trained, top-tier, best of the best assassin. Like people that are literally on par with Blade and basically pretty much, I don't know, Ghost of Tsushima type swordplay level. Like they have to be incredibly smart with their sword. Stain was just lucky. So we see Izuku gets stabbed and gets kicked down into a bunch of trash as Stain licks the blood, paralyzing Izuku once again. As Izuku's all out of willpower as he's about to get up, but he still can't. And before Stain's about to finish it off, a huge bolt of fire comes out of nowhere, pushing into a bunch of trash cans and into a dumpster. As we see that it's Todoroki. Todoroki looks around and looks at pretty much Ida and tells him to get up and tries to get up Ida's body is starting to work slowly, but he's still semi-paralyzed. We see him look over to Izuku as he tells Izuku that he doesn't like him much, but he can't just let him die. So he tries to pick him up, and out of nowhere, Stain's about to finish the job on, Toya. As he's about to, not Toya, but he's about to kill Todoroki, as he's about to stab him dead in the forehead. But at the last minute, Ida gets back his body and does a super quadruple, I mean straight up insane, One Piece level type kick straight on the noggin of Stain, sending Stain flying. Stain gets sent flying and into the ground as Stain coughs up more blood. As Stain gets back up and says that you kids are messing with the wrong one. As Stain instantly starts to lock in. As he starts to literally cut these men up. I mean starting to absolutely box them up. Now, majority of them are getting cut, but back to back to back, they are also getting straight up drop kicked and kicked into the forehead, getting thrown around like rag dolls, basically getting boxed down. Eventually, we see that Izuku gets thrown into a nearby wall, through the pillar, not through a nearby wall, through the wall into a nearby building room, as he falls into a glass table and pretty much gets badly cut a little bit through the gaps where his suit was cut from earlier. Eventually, Izuku gets back up and grabs the pretty much, I guess, I don't know what it's called, the frame, the middle frame around the glass table, and basically chucks it right towards Stain. Stain dodges out the way as he's right in front of Ida. Ida gets hit instead as he gets sent flying into the dumpster Stain got hit into earlier by Todoroki. Todoroki starts to throw more fireballs and also ice attacks towards Stain as Stain starts to dodge out the way, jumping to side and basically doing a wall run up the side of the alley. as he's about to basically decapitate Todoroki when he gets really close. But in this slow motion anime scene, Izuku clutches up as he goes feral. Izuku takes his mask off as his fangs start to retract as he basically runs up the wall and basically jumps on top of. He takes all of Stain's blades off of him and starts to just stab Stain in more arteries that won't hurt him, but just making painful slices and cuts on Stain. He pushes Stain down to the ground and starts to bite him on the neck, paralyzing him and taking him down. As I think you guys do know, because Miguel O'Hara's has a acidic type of poisonous, I guess, paralyzing toxin in his fangs. So that's why he has fangs majority of the time. So basically he takes down Stain as eventually the heroes show up. But one Nomu out of nowhere with wings flies down and tries to grab Izuku. He grabs Izuku and starts to pull him up as Izuku's about to get taken off, but we see that Todoroki sees this as we see how he throws a huge blast of fire towards this Nomu, making the Nomu drop Izuku down to the ground. Izuku kind of got knocked out cold because the Nomu grabbed him so hard, basically jolting his neck, making outrageous whiplash. I mean, Izuku's neck should have cracked and fell off his shoulders. So Izuku falls onto the ground and Ida catches him. Ida still being badly hurt and injured, and him kind of limping a little bit, and his forearms being kind of injured as well. But we see that he grabs Izuku and tries to prop him up against the wall, trying to keep him from basically not dying. So eventually we see that the other pro heroes show up, especially Morbius shows up as well, as he basically ties up Stain after Stain tries to fight back a little bit more against the pro heroes, but he gets detained by Morbius as Morbius grabs him and knocks him out cold with a swift punch straight to the noggin, since Stain is kind of also semi weakened. So brain fart. So they basically tie him up and pin him in the back of the truck as they also start to try to do some collateral damage and try to basically keep everything at a minimum. As Nomus eventually try to scatter off, as some of them are taken down by actually Morbius, as Morbius is pretty of a top tier type of hero here. So we see that everybody else is kind of okay, and we see that majority of the students are injured. Izuku's injuries from earlier, from him getting stabbed in the gut, are also starting to actually affect him now. So we see that, well, we get switched to the next day. Izuku's in the hospital alongside the other heroes, or the other young heroes, as they're all approached by basically one of the police chiefs, or the police chief, and tells them that we are happy and also thankful for you guys stepping up to the task and taking down the hero killer Stain, but we need to keep this at a minimum. You can't allow you guys to be the ones known for taking down Stain. That will bring a huge target on your back from other villains that are probably in cahoots with Stain. So they basically give the credit to Morbius and Endeavor. With their help, they kind of keep this under wraps, as we see that Endeavor gets a little bit more publicity alongside Morbius as well. As we see that he was happy by this, but he also was kind of still pissed off because of the fact that, well, Ida was just prepared to just let himself die. As the pretty much police officers walk out, as Ida basically gets up and Deku steps out of his bed as he's still kind of injured, but he walks over to Ida and smacks him. Ida says, "What are you doing?" As he says that, "I can't believe you did that. You're my friend, Ida. I knew you since we were kids. And you do this? You pull this shit?" As Todoroki kind of just stays quiet as Deku starts to berate him, saying that, "I knew your brother. I knew him, and I know you. I knew you were hurting. I knew you wanted vengeance, but I didn't know you would go this far. I didn't know you would try to take down a seasoned killer by yourself. And you were prepared to die. You told me to leave when I found you." As we did do a little bit of flashback of that, as Deku starts to yell at him, saying that, "I can't believe you. My parents died. From some reason I don't even know. And then I hear that my best friend, someone I've known since I was a kid, is prepared to die over vengeance." Vengeance is a strong emotion. Trust me, I know. And I'm still trying to deal with that. And I might be a hypocrite while I say this, but you can't let things like this try to kill you, because they will one day. And the path I'm going on, it might happen to me, but I don't want it to happen to you. You're my friend, Ida, and you have family and people that love you. I have nobody. I might have you, I might have some other family, but no one that truly knows me besides you. My parents are long gone, so I don't know about you, but I'm not prepared to lose another friend over vengeance, pain, or suffering. I might be a work in progress. I might be cruel, vicious, brutal, even an asshole at times, but I'm dealing with things. But I'm not gonna just let my friend ruin and berate himself, making himself feel horrible for not avenging his brother, but you did it. But at what cost? At the cost of the health of your friends, of your friend? As he just walks off, as he tries to go to the restroom, as Ida grabs him saying that I understand. And I'm sorry I put you through that. I didn't know I meant that much to you. As Deku says, of course you do. You're my best friend. I know you since we were kids. My family knows you. You were there for me when my parents died. I'd never want you to just throw away your life like that. They hug it out, and it's an emotional scene. As eventually Todoroki just keeps it quiet and says very inspirational. As he basically steps up and tries to go to the restroom as well, as they both go in separate restrooms and walk away from each other. As Ida is in his bed contemplating and thinking and also crying to himself, just knowing how he has a friend as devoted and as emotionally driven as Izuku or Miguel Midoriya. So basically, I'll leave it off there, guys. So I originally was going to cover the episode 34 of My Hero Academia season 2. Basically the beginning of them doing their whole race to find All Might for the basic training, and them eventually starting off the forest training arc. But I'm going to continue that and do the forest training arc in around part 7, because I'm going to be basically covering the whole heroes going up against the students in part 6. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please like and subscribe, and as always, guys, have a blessed day. And I'm trying to get back into emotional scenes, talking back and forth instead of just narrating everything. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please like and subscribe, and as always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces.